Good morning, friends. This is Pastor Ginny with the Daily Word. We are in this first week of our Expectation Sermon series, and so every day this week you'll hear from a different pastor answering this question: who is God to me? You heard from Pastor Brad yesterday, and I am here with you this morning. Obviously, this is a question that any of us could go on and on about, so I will try to keep it within my time limit here. I realized in reflecting on this question at this particular point in my life that there are two kind of images or depictions or descriptions of God that I kind of hold in tension with each other, that form the basis of my knowledge of God, my relationship with God, my understanding of my faith. And the first is the sense of God as creator, something we talked about on Sunday as we read the beginning of Genesis 1. I have always felt close to God's presence in the created world, in nature, particularly when I'm near water, but I love studying the natural world. I love learning more about the intricacies of creation, anything from the smallest creature to learning facts about solar systems and galaxies. And the way that the human body works. I am just amazed by all of it. And it helps to kind of situate me and center me and remind me how much bigger God is than I am. But at the same time, that all of life, that everything we see, everything we sense, and even things beyond what we can sense, all of it originates from God. God is the originator of all things. And not only is God the creator, but God has also put God's own image in us. And so we are also called to be creators, to be creative people, about creative work, not just in the sense of people who are artists, but people who are creating, people who are on the side of life as God is on the side of life, since all life can be traced back to God, people who are nurturing life and sustaining life and lifting up life wherever we can. So that is one image, and that's kind of this really, really big God, right? Because the God who imagined and created the entire world. But the image that I bring to bear that sort of balances that for me, to illustrate that, I want to read you a few verses from 1 Kings 19, and you may be familiar with this. This is when the prophet Elijah is seeking a word from God, and he's been facing some hardships and has come to seek a word from God, and we read these verses starting in 1 Kings 19:11. It says, "The Lord said, 'Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by.' Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper." Other translations that you might be familiar with say, "After the fire there came a still, small voice." That is the other sort of image or depiction or understanding of God that I bring to bear next to this image of a creator, this image of a still, small voice, the idea that God as Spirit, the Spirit of God the Father and the Spirit of Jesus Christ dwells within us, knows us intimately, knows us deeply, knows everything about us. I'm reminded of Psalm 139 as we bring those two things together, right? There's nowhere we can go that God is not. And at the same time, God knows us so well that our thoughts, our words are known before they even come to our minds, before they're even on our tongues. God knows them completely. So the tension between these ideas that God is so totally other than us, God is beyond our fathoming, and yet God is so close to us, and God dwells within our very souls, within our very bodies. And this tension is somewhere in the midst of that is where I find the truth of who God is to all of us. Thanks for joining us this morning, friends.